I'm Gabby and I'm from the Fine Flowers Company, and I'm here with Blanca from Host with Style. We have lots of gorgeous ideas for dressing tables, but this time, today, we're here just to show you how to dress your dinner table with some really nice wreaths that could also be hung on the door. So the style for our wreath today is going to be a Nordic style, very naive, very homely and not too engineered, so it looks like something from your childhood days. Okay, so first of all, the materials that you're going to need for today are really quite simple and easy to get from any online suppliers or florist suppliers. First of all, you're going to need a wreath ring. You are going to need some just pine that you can either buy or cut from your garden. You're going to need some moss, which again you can buy from your local florist. It's very inexpensive. Any interesting twigs or red foliage like this is called grevillea, and you probably just need one sprig from your supplier, it's very easily accessible. Some lotus heads, and if you like, some pretty waxed apples which you can get from florist or craft suppliers. And finally, for that Nordic influence, we're going to use birch tree lining, which again you can get from craft shops. And that's very simple. Okay, so first of all, I have wired some of my wire, real wire, to my ring so that it's attached and it won't come off. Then I'm going to start layering the moss around the ring wire, the wire ring. And don't worry if this is a little bit messy, because it's all going to be covered up anyway. So I take handfuls of the moss, wrap it nicely around, and then go round with the wire to secure it to the ring. As I say, really don't lose too much sleep if this is not as neat as you would like, because it is going to be covered up by some lovely pine foliage. So we keep going round and round, adding moss. This is just to keep the foliage fresh, and your wreath would last much longer. So from start to finish, this probably will only take you 3 minutes. Once you've done your first one, you will really see that it's quite a simple, quick process. You will, like me, become addicted to making wreaths forever, and from then on all your neighbours will be getting wreaths as Christmas presents. So here we are. So we've come back to the start, and now I'm simply going to cut that and attach it to the wire loop and just pull it tight in a couple of places. So that's our stage one of the wreath all completed. This is nice and moist, and it will keep your wreath nice and fresh. So we're ready to move on to the second stage, which is adding pine to the wreath. So what we've got here is some lovely pine foliage, but equally well you could actually use ivy that you cut from your garden, or laurel, or any nice foliage that you find around. So I'm going to get more of this and just prepare it. So again, we attach our wire again in one place with a simple knot, and then start attaching the pine in a nice even pattern, and we simply pass our wire round and round, loosely holding it together so that it doesn't look too dense and sort of stiff, but it has got some movement and it's keeping its shape. So we put some more behind, and again with the wire we go round, securing that as we work our way around the wreath. This whole process shouldn't be too time consuming, but again, as I say, if you do find that this is just a little bit too messy for you and it's adding to the Christmas dress, you can buy inexpensive wreaths ready-made, but I actually find it quite stress relieving and choose to do this even in the middle of very busy December, because I think it's a really nice escape from all the shopping that is now so under pressure with Christmas. Anyway, so you get the idea. So I'm going to put this aside and cut to one which I've already made. Let's show you this one. So this is a ready-made wreath that you can just buy probably for £5 to £10, and this is the base for your exciting design. So I'm going to cut now and do a little bit of tidy up so that we can add the fun accessories. Okay, so these are sheets of silver bark that you can buy from craft shops. It's easier to cut the stars out if you first of all cut some squares. So I've done that, and now I'm simply going to by eye, because I don't want these to be all regular and very perfect. You know, we want a quite, you know, naive, sort of informal look to our stars. So I'm going to just cut some star shapes, and they're not going to be very even. They're going to be quite higgledy-piggledy, which I think adds to the attraction. If you want a more polished look for your wreath, you could also work with foam shapes, which you get from people like Hobbycraft. They come lightly dusted with sparkle silver, but I quite like the rustic look. So that's my shape cut out. I'm going to make a couple of holes just with my scissors, and then I'm going to pass a wire through this, bend it over and pass again, and just twist these round just so that it's secure. So I've got my stars and we're ready to move on with the wreath. So next I'm going to add bits of red grevillea. This is how grevillea looks. It's a long spiky sort of stem. I've simply cut it into sections like this sort of length, trying to get these lovely feathery leaves that look literally like spiky feathers. So I've cut a load of these, and I'm ready to now simply add them to my wreath. So remember, the wreath is held by a lot of wire, so I just tuck these in, sort of arching out with the colour facing out, so that we get as much splashes of red as possible. So I'm going to add some on the surface and some underneath, really trying to make it quite nice and bright, instantly take you to that Christmas spirit. So you get a lovely sort of swirl effect if you go in the same direction that you have added your pine. Again, these could be substituted with frosty white twigs, or even mossed over bits of twigs from your garden or from a forest walk. It's just down to your creativity and how rustic you want to make it. But I really love the red of the grevillea. And I think that's probably enough red in our wreath to now move on. So I talked to you before about how to cut the stars. Now we're simply gonna insert them with our wire. Just tuck them in behind the pine. I'm trying to get sort of about 5 going round. I've got some pre-made ones. Odd numbers always look better than even, so I'm going for my 5-star shape here. So that's our stars. And if you have any left over, you can of course put them on some twigs and hang them and make a Christmas decoration for your table. Next, I'm going to add some of the red apples. And again, I think they look great if they're sort of just tucked underneath the stars, quite close to them. If you want, you can cluster them together so that there's 2 splashes of red next to each silver. And this really provides a lovely red contrast to our wreath. These come in sort of clusters of 5, but you can really cut down as many as you need, depending on how much colour you want to add. So we've got our 5 clusters again. It's quite symbolic, the 5 stars, the 5 corners of the star, and we've got 5 stars and lovely red apples. And next I'm going to move on. Oh, let me show you this first of all so you can see better. That's looking great, isn't it? And then I'm going to move on to adding the lotus heads. Again, these are the natural colour that they come in when they're dry. If you want to make it more glitzy, you can very lightly sparkle them up with some white or silver spray. But given that we're going for a very sort of au naturel look, I think I quite like them as they are. So I'm going to put them around the wreath, but some pointing outwards and some pointing in, so that again it looks a little bit less stiff and less formal. This is how they look sprayed with gold, for example, so we'll come back to that and I'll tell you some more ideas. Sorry, that's a gold one by mistake. Here we go, a neutral one. So that's with just 5 lotus heads. If you want to make your wreath even more lavish, you can of course add another 5. So let's do that so that you really get the wow factor. They feel quite papery, so they make a satisfying crunch noise, but don't worry, they are actually quite robust. So anyway, so this is your finished wreath, which looks lovely and festive and very bright and truly Nordic. So you can use it as a table decoration. You can either leave it like that, or you can put some tall candlesticks in the middle. But my favorite actually, and it is more Nordic I think than anything I have come across recently, is to use one of these sort of candle holders with a pretty flickering candle inside, and that just looks great. I think it will grace any Christmas table and make it very festive. Another idea, of course, if you want to really get carried away and practice your wreath making even more, is to make another one for your table, sorry, for your door, and hang it with pretty ribbon, so that as soon as your guests arrive and then they follow up inside, they will see how fantastically coordinated you are. And then you can really then impress them with being Nigella as well as Martha Stewart. So anyway, so to hang it off the door, you simply make a nice bow at the bottom. And then I like to make just a simple hanging to the top. And you're trying to pass it obviously at the point where it's not going to cross over any of your stars or the lotus heads. So I'm just going to simply do a nice knot here, and then another knot at the top. And then that is ready to hang from your door. So it's going to look like that. If you want, you can add some really wide, lavish ribbon, and that would really look luxurious. Anyway, so these are our ideas for your Christmas table and Christmas door. Enjoy!